The Great Pyrenees had been lying between the toddler and the front door every morning. Everyone thought he was being a doorstop. Grandmother Edna thought differently. On day 8, she said, "He's not blocking the door. He's blocking the difference." Marlow was a 3-year-old Great Pyrenees, large, white, extremely confident in his chosen positions. He had always been a dog who made decisions about where to be, and then was there until the decision changed. 2-year-old Sam had been having transition difficulties. This was known and being addressed with occupational therapy. The specific difficulty, moving from indoor to outdoor, the change in environment, sensory input, light, temperature. The morning transition to the yard had been producing dysregulation for 6 weeks. On a Monday, Marlow lay down at the front door. When Sam walked toward the door, he encountered Marlow first. He stopped. He stood beside Marlow for approximately 45 seconds. Then he walked through the door and into the yard, without the usual pre-transition meltdown. Sam's mother, Alicia, noted it. She attributed it to a coincidental good morning. Tuesday, Marlow at the door. Sam stopped beside him for 30 seconds, then walked through. No meltdown. Wednesday, same. Thursday, same. Alicia's mother, Edna, 68, a retired early childhood educator, was visiting for 2 weeks. She had been watching from the hallway. On day 8, she said, "He's not blocking the door, he's blocking the difference." Alicia said, "What do you mean?" Edna said, "Sam stops beside Marlow. When he's touching the dog, he's not inside and not outside. He's in between. The dog is his transition object. He's using Marlow as the bridge between the two sensory states." Subscribe now before the next detail, because what Sam's occupational therapist, Dr. Mensah, said when Alicia described the door behavior and Edna's observation, and what she said about transition, objects, and sensory bridging, added Marlow to the treatment plan. Dr. Mensah said, "What you're describing is the spontaneous use of a sensory anchor as a transitional object between two incompatible sensory environments. Sam is using Marlow's warmth, weight, and predictability to regulate himself before the environmental transition." She said, "We work on this explicitly in therapy. We call it sensory bridging. We teach caregivers to provide a regulatory anchor at transition points." Marlow positioned himself at the transition point, and Sam figured out how to use him. She said, "The 30 to 45 seconds of contact is the regulatory window, just long enough for the nervous system to borrow stability from the dog before entering the new environment." She added to the treatment notes, "Patient using canine sensory anchor at the primary transition point. Highly effective. Maintain." She said, "Your mother saw what I would have taken 4 sessions to identify. Has a dog ever positioned themselves at a transition point for your child in a way that helped with a specific developmental challenge? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never ask for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Sam's morning transitions are significantly improved. Marlow is at the door every morning. Edna went home at the end of week 2. She told her neighbor, "I spent 30 years teaching children how to transition. Never once thought to ask a Great Pyrenees for help." Her neighbor said, "How big is a Great Pyrenees?" Edna said, "Big enough to stop a 2-year-old in his tracks and give him 30 seconds of warm stability. That's exactly big enough." Next, the golden retriever and the kitchen mess, and what the grandmother saw when she watched the dog's eyes instead of the mess.